Buy my book. 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 Buy my book.
Oh God. All right, Bob. All right, Bob. I'm going. I'm going. I'm going, Bob. Just stop. Hello, and welcome to Book 2, Chapter 13 of You Should Be Reading. Today I'm going to be talking about this little book, SMB 3, or Super Mario Brothers 3, Brick by Brick, by Bob Chipman. Now, Bob Chipman is a man on the internet. He's somebody that I first came across on The Escapist when he was doing Escape to the Movies. And I found watching his reviews, they tended to be mostly spoiler-free for the most part, even though I don't really mind spoilers. But a lot of his opinions of movies tended to line up kind of quite well with my own, and even when they didn't, I found what he had to say to be quite interesting. And he then branched off and did another video called The Big Picture series on The Escapist before he left there. He currently has his own YouTube channel where he does movie reviews, and he works in conjunction with Screw Attack to do a kind of similar type show to what he had as The Big Picture. It's called something different because of rights, etc., etc. Regardless, I've been a fan of Bob Chipman's, aka MovieBob, for quite a number of years now. And I first heard about his little book here when he was introducing it on The Escapist as a little advertisement at the end of his videos. And it really caught my eye because the advertisement that he used was very similar to The Critic, which was a television show starring, what was his name? Can't remember it off the top of my head. John Lovitz, maybe? I think John Lovitz. As a movie critic, a really obnoxious type guy. It was a hilarious show. And I remembered it when I saw that, so I'm like, I'm going to have to check that book out. And I finally did. I finally grabbed it and read through it. Now, we'll get into the book right now. Because this is not usually the type of book that I tend to go for when I'm reading for my own pleasure. I usually like things with a big story. I like epic stories. I like sci-fi, fantasy, mystery, all that good stuff. This is nothing like that. This is very much in keeping with the way, as he puts it, there are books out there dedicated to films, which is a shot-by-shot look at the film. It doesn't just deal with the film itself as a whole. It delves into all the nitty-gritty, the shot composition, the actors, the production scheduling, what was going on during the production at that time. Everything, piece by piece, just picks it apart and gives it an overall view of the film. And he was wondering, Mr. Bob Chipman, why there wasn't a book like that for games, because I don't think there is, and I don't think there has been. So he wrote one, and he went with Super Mario Bros. 3, which is one of his all-time favorite games. So I thought, hey, I'm going to check it out. Why not? And it's a really interesting book. Now, as I said, this isn't usually my type of thing. Maybe it's because it's about a video game. Maybe it's because it's about a video game that I played and I beat many, many years ago when I actually had a Nintendo. And it was one of the most fun games I'd ever played. And I was interested in seeing what he had to say about it. Now, the interesting thing is a full, I'd say, where is it here? Let me just check quickly. Boom, 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 boom. Yes, right about here, as you can see. Now, this section of the book deals entirely with the game itself. This section is something else entirely. This section has here 3 parts to it, this beginning part. You've got the brief history of Mario, which is all about Mario itself, how he first came about to, from back then, those humble origins to today. Then you've got MovieBob's life, my life, as he calls it, in the Mushroom Kingdom, which details all about how he first found Mario, what his life was like during those years, during the years since then, as things have progressed. So it's kind of sort of a not official autobiography-ish in a way, very, very generalizing things. But it's all about that in particular, him, and what he has to say about his life and how Mario affected his life, and Super Mario Bros. 3. And then he has another section, which is very, very small, but this much of the book, which details the game itself. All of the story, the characters, the enemies, the items, everything. It basically breaks down how the game plays and all this and that. And then he has this one, Super Mario Bros. 3, beginning to end, where he starts playing it, and he goes through it, documents everything that's happening to him at that time while he's playing it for this book. And there was some serious issues going on in his life at the time, which affected him, may have affected him, and he puts it all down. He's very, very open about that. And as somebody who can be a little bit shy, I can understand how brave it is that he took the time to do that. But he goes through it level by level and tells everything that he thinks, what he thinks was going on in the minds of the creators, how he interprets this particular level. Like, he's talking about colors in World 2, when you get to the desert world. He's talking about the use of colors in things, the way the Skyland is set out with the miniature and whatnot. He's going all over this and going into detail and talking about these things that back when I played it didn't affect me. I was playing a video game. I didn't think about things like that. So it's really interesting to delve that deeply into a game and not realizing that back then, things that right now, these days, I look at it and go, that's quaint. But back then, this had never been done before. Like, one of the most interesting bits I found was that Super Mario Bros. 3 was the first Super Mario Bros. Game with an overworld map that you can move around and choose your levels and do weird things like that. The special white mushroom houses that you could pop up. I didn't even know how you could do that. I remember the first time that happened to me when I was playing it back then, and reading this book brought that memory back to me, that it was like, how did that happen? What's going on? This is strange and unusual. All kinds of neat things like that. And by the time I got to the end of it, and it's a quick read. It's a very, very quick read. It's not a big book at all. I got this on a Friday. Yeah, I got this on a Friday and started reading it then, and I finished it the next day. It took me probably a few hours, so not a very quick read. But by the time I finished it, I kind of wanted to break out my Wii, because I have a Wii, and actually get Super Mario Bros. 3 on the Virtual Console and play it. I wanted to do that because it brought up that nostalgia that I had playing this game. So while it's not the kind of book I usually like, not the kind of book that usually graces my shelves, um, Super Mario Bros. 3, Brick by Brick, is a good book. And this week, I'm not going to be doing any reading because really, I don't think I'm capable of exactly telling the tone of what Mr. Chipman is trying to say in his books. I think it's better if you read it yourself. That way you can get the tone of it, especially if you've watched any of MovieBob's shows. You kind of know his voice already, because as I was reading this, I was hearing his voice in my head. Sometimes that happens. And it's really, he tells it better than I ever could put down in words. And full disclosure, I am a fan of his, and there is a few minor typographical issues in the book I've noticed. A couple of words that should be other words, things like that. It's the sort of thing that a proofreading program can easily miss. But I've read worse mistakes in books and still enjoyed the book immensely, and there's only a couple. Probably a problem with the printer. Regardless, doesn't matter. People are human, they make mistakes. So, still, I recommend Super Mario Bros. 3 Brick by Brick by Bob Chipman. And this week, this is what you should be reading. So I'll see you next week.